Okay, what is up there, YouTube? This is J-Man Time, and today I have a video on rare Thailandese tanks of the Second World War, and that includes rare Thailandese tanks and armored fighting vehicles that were either designed or used during the Second World War. During World War II, Thailand didn't really see much action. In 1940, Thailand had actually fought a series of border conflicts with France, with French Indochina, in what was known as the Franco-Thai War. In June 1940, France was defeated by Germany, but the remaining French forces continued to maintain the French colonial empire. Way back in the 19th century, France and Thailand, also known as Siam, had fought a series of conflicts in the 19th century in which France had actually taken some of Thailand or Siam's territory. So with the fall of mainland France, the Thai took this as an opportunity to recapture some of the lost territory, and in October 1940, a series of conflicts began between the remaining French forces in Indochina and the Thai/Siamese army in what was known as the Franco-Thai War. This conflict ended on May 9th when the Empire of Japan finally stepped in to mandate a ceasefire between Thai forces and the Vichy French forces. But during World War II, the Thai continued to use a variety of vehicles, some of which were manufactured in Thailand, but most of them were imported from other countries before World War II, and some were also captured during the Franco-Thai War. So let's go over some of the rare armored fighting vehicles used by the Thai Army during the Second World War. And the first series of vehicles on the list is the Type 76, also known as the Type 76 6-ton anti-aircraft vehicle. And these were actually Thai-manufactured self-propelled anti-aircraft platforms that were constructed in 1940. And these were actually based on the British Vickers 6-ton tractor. Earlier, between 1935 and 1938, Thailand had actually purchased some British-made Vickers 6-ton tanks. Included in that shipment was 40 6-ton tractors, which were the original tractors that the 6-ton tank was based on. So the Thai received some 6-ton tanks and some artillery tractors. Now, when World War II began in 1939, the Thai government decided to reconstruct these old 6-ton tractors into self-propelled anti-aircraft vehicles, and these were known as the Type 76. The Type 76 was a self-propelled anti-aircraft tank or self-propelled gun that were constructed between 1939 and 1940. Some 36 of these vehicles were constructed as a whole. The main armament of these vehicles was one 40mm Vickers 2-pounder pom-pom anti-aircraft autocannon and one 7.7mm Vickers machine gun. The armor thickness was between 6 and 12 millimeters. The vehicle had a speed of 28.7 kilometers per hour or 17.8 miles per hour. And it had a crew of 4. These were actually some of the more advanced vehicles, armored fighting vehicles used by the Thai Army during World War II. Thailand was on the side of the Axis powers. In 1940, Thailand had signed a cooperation agreement with the Empire of Japan, thus making Thailand one of Japan's few allies in the Pacific. Throughout World War II, the Thai Army and Navy really didn't do much action, but only against the French during the Franco-Thai War. And these Type 76 self-propelled anti-aircraft vehicles, or tanks, were some of the rare vehicles used by the Thai military during the Second World War. In the same year of 1940, Thailand had actually ordered some of the Empire of Japan's Type 95 Hago light tanks, and these tanks were known as the Type 86 in Thailand. In total, 50 of the Type 95 Hago/Type 86 light tanks were sold to Thailand in mid-1940 after Thailand had joined the Axis powers in the Pacific theater. The only difference is the machine guns used on this vehicle. This vehicle had a main armament of one 37mm Type 94 main gun, the same gun used in the regular Japanese-issued Type 95s, but it was also fitted with one or two 8mm Vickers machine guns. Keep in mind, the Thai Army had two types of Vickers machine gun. the .303 caliber, and an 8mm version that was chambered in the same cartridge as the Thai Arasaka series of rifles, also known as the Type 45 series of rifles. They had an 8mm Vickers machine gun in some of these vehicles instead of the original 6.5 or 7.7mm machine gun. And the Thai military purchased 50 of these vehicles, and these vehicles, along with the Vickers 6-ton tanks, made up the backbone of the Thai army during the Second World War. And they also served up until at least the late 1940s, when they were finally replaced by more modern American-made equipment purchased during the early Cold War years. Several years earlier, between 1933 and 1938, the Thai military also purchased 24 Vickers-Armstrong 6-ton tanks Mark B and E. Now, these were light export tanks purchased from the UK between 1933 and 1938, and they were some of the more powerful tanks used in the Thai army in terms of their main armament. These vehicles had a main armament of one 47mm Vickers 3-pounder gun, along with two 8mm Vickers machine guns. The armor thickness was between 19 and 25 millimeters, and these vehicles had a speed of 35 kilometers per hour or 22 miles per hour, and a crew of between 3 and 4. Like I mentioned earlier, these vehicles were shipped to Thailand along with 40 of the Vickers 6-ton artillery tractors or tractor vehicles. And these 24 Vickers-Armstrong 6-ton Mark B and E also made up the backbone of the Thai armored forces during the Franco-Thai War and during World War II. In fact, these vehicles were actually better than some of the French vehicles, with the exception of the Samoa tanks used by the French colonial army in Indochina. Also in 1933, Thailand purchased two of the rare Vickers A4-E11 series of amphibious light tanks. The Vickers company produced some experimental or limited production amphibious tanks in the early to mid 1930s, and most of these were sold as export vehicles by the British to its client nations. That included Thailand. And Thailand purchased two of these vehicles, and these were some of the few amphibious armored fighting vehicles to serve in the Thai army during the Franco-Thai War and during World War II. The main armament of this vehicle was one 7.7 or 8mm Vickers machine gun, and it had an armor thickness of only about 6 to 12 millimeters. Now, these vehicles were extremely rare, and they were originally designed in 1931. And not that many of these were mass produced, but some were sold to other countries like China, for example. China also used the Vickers A4-E11 amphibious light tanks against the Japanese forces during the Second Sino-Japanese War. But these tanks were also used by Thailand as well. And only two of these vehicles served in the Thai army until the end of the war, where they were finally decommissioned and replaced with more modern Allied vehicles once Thailand had pretty much joined the U.S. side of the Cold War after World War II had come to an end. Like many nations in the 1930s, Thailand, or Siam, also purchased a variety of different tankettes. Tankettes were very small go-kart sized tanks or light tanks that were used as infantry support vehicles. And between 1930 and 1934, Thailand had purchased some 40 British-made Cardin-Lloyd Mark V and 6 series of tankettes. Now, these tankettes were armed with one 8mm or 7mm Vickers machine gun. The armor thickness was only between 6 and 9 millimeters, and the speed was 48 kilometers per hour or 30 miles per hour, and they had a crew of 2. Now, Thailand had purchased 40 of these vehicles, and they also served in the Thai army during the Franco-Thai War and during World War II as a whole. In fact, some of these vehicles also served with the Imperial Japanese Army. Many people don't know it, but Japan actually purchased Cardin-Lloyd tankettes too, and also shared some Cardin-Lloyd tankettes with the Thai army during the Second World War, and were some of the rare vehicles that are rarely ever mentioned when it comes to Thai vehicles used in World War II. Around the same time, between 1939 and 1940, Thailand also purchased some 118 British-made Bren gun carriers. The Bren Carrier was a machine gun / infantry support vehicle used by the British colonial forces and the British Army as a whole. And Thailand purchased 118 of these, so those were actually the most common vehicles in terms of numbers, but they were mostly used as light troop transporters or as just machine gun carriers for the Thai Army. And the Japanese also got their hands on some of those vehicles as well. Not from Thailand, these were captured from the Japanese invasions of Singapore and Malaya. So the Bren gun carrier also served in the Thai Army during the Second World War. An even rarer vehicle to serve in the Thai Army were the French-made Renault EU series of tankettes, which were constructed by France in the 1930s. Now, during the Franco-Thai War, Thailand had actually captured some 5 to 10 of these Renault EU tankettes from the French colonial forces in Indochina. About 5 to 10 of these vehicles were captured in total, and they were pressed into service with the Thai Army for the remainder of World War II. After World War II, these vehicles were placed in museums around Thailand, and you can still see some of these vehicles to this very day. Another rare vehicle to serve in the Thai Army was the Vickers-Morrison model 1931 4x6 series of heavy armored cars or medium armored cars. And these armored cars were constructed between 1928 and 1931. These armored cars were extremely rare, and only 6 of these vehicles were sold to Thailand. And they had a main armament of one 7 or 8 millimeter Vickers machine gun, and their armor thickness was between 6 to 12 millimeters. The speed of these vehicles was about 25 to 35 miles per hour, and they had a crew of between 3 and 4. And Thailand had 6 of these vehicles, and they were deployed during the Franco-Thai War along with the Thai infantry. And the final vehicle to serve in the Thai Army were the British-made M4 Morrison series of armored reconnaissance vehicles or reconnaissance cars, which were purchased sometime between 1935 and 1940. Thailand only received 5 of these vehicles, and these vehicles were usually armed with one 8mm, with one 7mm or 8mm Bren gun, or one Japanese-made Type 96 or Type 99 machine gun. The armor thickness was between 8 and 14 millimeters, and the speed was 80 kilometers per hour or 50 miles per hour, and it had a crew of 3, making these the fastest armored fighting vehicles to serve in the Thai Army during the Franco-Thai War and during World War II as a whole. So these were all of the rare armored fighting vehicles used by the Thailandese / Siamese forces during the Second World War and during the war between Thailand and the French territories of Indochina. Which of these vehicles were your favorite? If I had to choose, it would be the Type 76, and my favorite of the armored cars is obviously the Vickers-Morrison series of armored cars, but I also like the M4 Morris reconnaissance vehicle too. But which are your favorites? Which of these vehicles were your favorite? Please tell me in the comment section below. And until next time, this was a J-Man Time signing off.